Hello, everyone. Welcome back once again. I'm Nicodemus Kane. Today is January the 30th of 2023. It is a Monday. I'm feeling it. My wife has some kind of she thinks that she's sick. I don't know. I think it's allergies more than anything. She could very well be sick. I don't know. It's her nose was stopped up all day and her sinuses were not doing great. So she is. Hopefully, she's doing better this morning. I don't know. I haven't talked to her. She's still sleeping. Um, Other than that, I'm fine. I have no problems. We got to have the grandbaby overnight. Our granddaughter. She got to stay the night, and it was awesome. It's always amazing when she gets to come over, and we got to play, and we got to have fun, and it was a good weekend. Other than not doing much of anything, we really didn't. We had a good weekend of rest, and that was good enough. Um, Nothing else really that I can talk about current event wise. Another coincidental egg farm fire in, where did that say that was? It wasn't Colorado. In Colorado, apparently they had to kill a whole bunch of chickens because of avian flu. I don't know if that's true or not. Apparently they're doing it in China as well. There's an egg crisis apparently, and everybody wants to talk about eggs, and then suddenly it's like, oh, the avian flu. Where was that? The name of the city was Basra. I don't know. I was like, Basra. I don't think it was Colorado. I think it was somewhere else though. Let me look it up here. Come on now. There we go. Um no, there are a lot of articles. If you look up egg farm and if you just look up news, you will see there are so many different ones where they are talking about Basra. Yeah, that's the name of the city. Basra. This is Connecticut. There's a city in Connecticut named Basra. Oh, goodness. But yeah, if you look up the news, you will see it's all aviation flu or you know, euthanized so many millions of chickens or something else. China's done it. Connecticut's on fire. Colorado is doing it. There was something else about Ohio had to do it as well. Everybody wants to talk about egg prices. Well, when you let them kill chickens, I mean, we could talk about what was it in the middle and late 2020 when they were shutting down meat plants. They were shutting down pig plants, which I can't complain. They were shutting down chicken farms. They were saying, by 2021, there were so many farmers that were saying, they're killing our cows. They're coming in and they're wiping out entire batches of livestock just because of COVID. And you wonder why your eggs are so much right now. People tried to warn you. That people tried to tell you, look, your government is going out there and they're telling these farmers that they have to kill all these chickens, they have to kill all these cows. I remember seeing articles. They were talking about, millions of chickens had to be killed because COVID, I don't know, reasons. because everybody thought they were going to eat a chicken. They were going to get sick and die just to protect grandma. And now your eggs are too much, and now you're complaining. Now, I've just started seeing this. We haven't seen it here in Indiana until recently. I just looked at the prices. The prices have been, around $3 to $4 for a dozen. And just the last time we went in there, I saw it, and I said, oh, look, they're like $5 now. I've heard of the places are saying like it's $12 for a dozen of eggs. It sounds crazy. But I don't eat that many eggs anyways. That's just me. I don't do it. My wife, though, she eats eggs all the time. But she hasn't really said anything about it. It is what it is. So I don't know. Some places are getting hit by it and some places aren't. It seems like the way that it is with a lot of stuff that people have been complaining about over the past 3 years is that, you see it in certain places, but you don't see it in other places. And I'm starting to think that, just maybe because we live in the warehouse heartland of America, that, we just don't see it because Indiana is turning into like this warehouse land. We have so many warehouses around Indianapolis. It's ridiculous. But that just means that everything comes to us first, and then it goes out to everybody else. I'm guessing that's the way it is. And they keep building warehouses, more and more warehouses. And I've already said, when this solar eclipse happened, if there is a earthquake that causes the fault line to crack, this what is it, the New Madrid or whatever it is, fault line, I don't remember the name of it now, that goes along the Mississippi, where we were talking about whenever the solar eclipse happens, and it is recorded that earthquakes sometimes follow eclipses, and there is a fault line that runs right through the middle of, it runs right up the river, and then it comes to the east, and it goes right up through the middle of Indianapolis. And I said, wouldn't that be the way that you would have all these warehouses? You'd had all this stuff that they would put right dead smack in the middle, right on top of a fault line, and then the fault line would pop, and then all of these warehouses would just be gone. And there's your distribution for the entirety of the United States. Just right there, gone, one fell swoop. Almost like they meant for it to happen. I'm not saying it is what it is. I'm just a conspiracy theorist. I don't know anything. But I'm telling you, things are afoot. They more and more and more. You see these little warning signs, these little red flags that keep popping up in the world. Somebody says this, somebody says that. Next thing you know, this happens, and it's like, oh wait, then two more of it happened, but two more of those things happen, and you don't see it because the news won't talk about it, or it's suppressed, and you're just like, well, can't really call it a conspiracy theory anymore, because it's unless you want to call it coincidence theory. That's what a lot of people are having fun with. Oh, it's just a coincidence. Yeah, it's just a coincidence, all right. The people in this world that rule over you, they don't like you anymore. They probably never have liked you, and they're going out of their way to kill and destroy you and take away everything that you have ever owned in your entire life. The people that want to own everything are now telling you that you will own nothing and you will be happy. That's the meme. That's the meme right there. I'm not going to get too much further into that. We have Jeremiah 6 to read, or 36, not 6, Jeremiah 36 to read. And it's 2 pages, so it's kind of big. I did not read any of this before I started recording, so I don't know what we're getting into. But we'll go ahead and read this. I think the first thing I might need to do is take a second, get a drink, and then we will start this. So give me 1 second. Okay. All right, so Jeremiah 36. I need to readjust myself here. I have not been bringing my reading glasses in. I should, but I haven't been bringing them in. So I've been kind of winging it. Been trying to find the right the right amount of space between my face and my book to be able to read this. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would have needed reading glasses, but of course here we are. You know, age is a monster. We were talking about that the other day too, about just our ages, the age of our granddaughter, and because she's getting big. Oh, she's getting so big. It's ridiculous how big she's getting. And we were telling her that because our first dog together, you know, my wife and I, our dog, we had to put her down a couple weeks ago, and we were telling our granddaughter, you know, Lila died, and she was like, well, why did Lila die? And it was just a little heartbreaking. I mean, you know, she wasn't completely attached to the dog, but she knew the dog. The dog had always been in her life, really. And but she just kept asking the question, but why did Lila die? And we said, honey, sometimes dogs just get old, you know. It's once they get to a certain age, you know, they have problems. Yeah, but why did Lila die? Well, it's because that's the way it was, you know. God called her home. But why did Lila die? It's just, you know. And then we came around to the somebody had said it before that one of the reasons that, and this, you know, this isn't biblical or anything, but somebody had said this somewhere. One of the reasons why dogs have such a short lifespan is so that God can teach us what death is. Which is true, because you get a puppy when you're young, and then, you know, the dog lives for about 10, 15 years by the time you're a teenager, and you can understand what death is, you know, if the dog passes. So you can understand it. As a little kid, I don't think you can understand it at all. We're definitely seeing that. You know, she's only 4 years old, and she's trying to contemplate, you know, why a dog had to die. It's just, it was kind of sad. She probably said it, man, I bet she said it 15 times yesterday. But why did Lila die? Honey, because dogs get old. When dogs get old, they have problems, and they, you know, it was kind of a hard day. It really was kind of a hard day, but we were talking about that. We were talking about that and age and just how old we're getting. And the subject still comes up that never in a million years would I have thought that I would have grown up from where I was to where I am now, and I would have seen the things that are happening in this world. I would have never have thought that I would have become the person I am. You know, because it was this transition, this grand and crazy transition over the past 6 years now coming up, that, you know, this is not I know people were talking about the end of the world and the government's doing the things that they're doing now. I know they were talking about this stuff back in the 90s because I remember hearing people say it. You know, I was one of those kids that would listen to everybody, and I heard people that were off to the side that would talk about these things. So I've heard a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now. I've heard it for years. Years upon years upon years. They were warning us back then, but I wasn't listening. I was just a stupid kid. But I think about it now, and I'm like, it's always been there. It's always been there, and just like today, nobody wants to hear it. Because everybody is too wrapped up in themselves, in their own sins, in their own darkness, in their own whatever, that they just will not hear the truth. They will not hear somebody try to warn them, hey, you're going down a bad path, you should probably turn away. But nobody wants to hear that. And you have so many people now that are falling, and a lot of them we're not going to be able to save. I've said that before, so that no matter how hard you try, there are going to be some people you are just not going to be able to save. And that sucks, and it hurts, but all you can do is pray for them. All you can do is pray for those that fall away, that just will not understand. Pray to the Father that He will, if He will not turn them, then at least have mercy upon them. Anyways, Jeremiah 36. Let's go ahead and start this. And it came to pass in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, that this word came unto Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Take thee a roll of a book, and write therein all the words that I have spoken unto thee against Israel, and against Judah, and against all the nations, from the day I spake unto thee, from the days of Josiah, even unto this day. It may be that the house of Judah will hear all the evil which I propose to do unto them, that they may return every man from his evil way, that I may forgive their iniquity and their sin. Then Jeremiah called Baruch, the son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the Lord, which he had spoken unto him, upon a roll of a book. And Jeremiah commanded Baruch, saying, I am shut up, I cannot go into the house of the Lord. Therefore go thou, and read in the roll, which thou hast written from my mouth, the words of the Lord in the ears of the people in the Lord's house, upon the fasting day. And also thou shalt read them in the ears of all Judah that come out of their cities. It may be they will present their supplication before the Lord, and will return every one from his evil way. For great is the anger and the fury that the Lord hath pronounced against this people. And Baruch the son of Neriah did according to all that Jeremiah the prophet commanded him, reading in the book the words of the Lord in the Lord's house. And it came to pass in the 5th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, in the 9th month, that they proclaimed a fast before the Lord to all the people in Jerusalem, and to all the people that came from the cities of Judah unto Jerusalem. Then read Baruch in the book the words of Jeremiah in the house of the Lord, in the chamber of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, the scribe, in the higher court, at the entry of the new gate of the Lord's house, in the ears of all the people. That seemed like a mouthful, but it wasn't really, but it seemed like a mouthful. So, back up to the top. And it came to pass in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, that this word came unto Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, so this is the 4th year of Jehoiakim. This was when Jeremiah was locked up it said before, locked up in the house of it was in the house of the king. That's what it said it was, in the middle of the house of the king, or something like that. So this was while he was still locked up. It said, Take thee a roll of a book, and write therein all the words that I have spoken unto thee against Israel, and against Judah, and against all the nations, from the day I spake unto thee, from the days of Josiah, even unto this day. So we're talking about Jeremiah's entire life, that he had been visited by the Lord. Remember, he was pulled out as a kid. They never said anything about Jeremiah being a learned man. They never said anything about him having wisdom beyond wisdom, or that, he was one of the priests. He was just a kid that was pulled off the streets. And God said, I want you to go talk to my people. Just some random kid. Spent his entire life talking, prophesying, speaking these things, going out and physically doing something in order to show the people this is what God said is going to happen. So that not only he could have understanding, but the people he was talking to could have understanding. And of course, like we said before, he was speaking against them and what they wanted to hear. So the first thing they said was, let's what was it? Chastise him with tongues or something like that? Or bring him down. What was it? It basically came down to, let's come against him with our words. And then it was because he just kept talking, because Jeremiah just kept going. He said, well, you know what? Now let's bring him down. Let's lock him up. Where was that exactly? I have to look this up. I do. That's ridiculous. I should have this written down, though. I should have this underlined, because it was... Where was this? Wait, was it here? Hold on, I think I got it. No, it's not here either. I don't remember where it was. I don't remember where it was, but it was one of these. It was in the 20s. I remember that one. I can't find it. Oh, unbelievable. Anyways, it was, again, it was, they were saying, because he's saying all these things, let's go up against him. Let's persecute him simply for speaking against what we know. Because it was even saying, what was the line? He can't be as smart as the learned men. He can't be as, the things that the learned men have said they're going to be there. The things that the priests have said, those are going to be there. The things that the prophets have said, those are going to be there. Who is this guy? Who is this guy to come around and say, this is the way that it's going to be? Who is this guy? He's not learned. He is not someone that has enough understanding for us to listen to. It's just some kid. It's just some some kid that came out of nowhere that he doesn't know any better. He's not smart enough to be able to preach the word of the Lord to us. He hasn't gone to Bible college enough to be able to talk about the Bible to us. He hasn't read the books. So they said, let's bring that against him. And when they couldn't do that, when he kept talking, that was when they imprisoned him. But this was, you have to remember, this was just a kid. It's just a kid. You know, spent his entire life, spent more than what did it say, 20 years, 30 years doing this kind of stuff, got locked up for it. There was a graph I saw or something that Jeremiah was 90 years, spent his entire life doing this. Most of it in prison because the Lord told him, you're going to speak my word. Prophesying against them. Somehow he lived too. Somehow he lived through all of that. He lived through being in prison. He lived through the Babylonians coming and taking everybody away. He lived through that. He lived through the time of I don't know if he lived through the time of coming back or not. I don't think he would have, because he said it was going to be 70 years, so he would have died while they were in captivity. I don't know. Anyways, this is what he was called to do. And because of that, they didn't want to hear. They didn't want to hear it at all. But from the day I spake unto thee, from the days of Josiah, even unto this day, so everything that he had known, God said, write it all down in a book. So verse 3, yeah, I know, we're not moving on this one at all. Verse 3, it may be that the house of Judah will hear all the evil that I propose to do unto them, that they may return every man from his evil way, that I may forgive their iniquity and their sin. He doesn't want to. God never wants to bring this down upon our heads. He wants us to stop and turn back. And he always gives us the option. But we never do. So he says, well, if you're not going to turn back, I'm going to bring it down on your heads. Remember, this is, it's like Jonah and the whale. Jonah didn't want to do it, but he got spat out right in front of Nineveh. He popped out and he said, hey, look, God says you need to turn back from your ways. He says that if you turn back now, he will spare the city. What happened? God spared the city. It is absolutely possible, but you need people to speak the truth, to speak plainly, to not be afraid to be imprisoned for speaking the truth. God will protect you from anything as long as you're speaking the truth. You will be taken and you will be beaten and you will be imprisoned and you will be martyred just like Christ was. But if you're not speaking the truth, you're not doing God's will, what are you doing? We have to always speak the truth. Speak it out. Speak it loud. This world and the pastors and the preachers in this world tell you to turn the other cheek. They tell you to keep silent, to let it happen, while the rest of the Bible will tell you, no, you're supposed to constantly speak the word no matter how much you're persecuted. If God tells you to go out and speak the truth, you speak the truth. If you don't speak the truth, if you don't be the watchman on the wall, if you know the truth and don't speak it out, then that blood will be required on your hands. We have to be more... We have to be braver. We have to, and I don't want to use this world's terms, we have to live without the fear of persecution. Remember, the sword of the Spirit, which is part of the armor of God, is an offensive weapon. You have to be able to stand up and speak the truth. More than anything, that's what I've tried to do, is just get people to just stand up. Just stand up and speak the truth. Verse 4, Then Jeremiah called Baruch the son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the Lord, which he had spoken unto him, upon a roll of a book. And Jeremiah commanded Baruch, saying, I am shut up, I cannot go into the house of the Lord. Therefore go thou, and read in the roll, which thou hast written from my mouth, the words of the Lord in the ears of the people in the Lord's house upon the fasting day. And also thou shalt read them in the ears of all Judah that come out of their cities. The fasting day. There were several fasting days. Some people think that every Sabbath is to be a fasting day. I don't know if that's true or not, because you have to remember that every Sabbath that they came, that they brought all their sacrifices. They cooked and ate those sacrifices. So is the Sabbath a fasting day? I don't know. Did they cook them and eat them the next day? I don't know. You have to remember that they cooked and ate sacrifices. So there were several fasting days. There are several days that it says, you shall fast for so many days this time. I think a lot of it is around the Feast of Trumpets. I think there's several of them there where you're supposed to fast. It's a day of cleansing. But he's saying, take this into the house of the Lord. Don't be afraid to go in there and speak the word of the Lord in the house. You have to remember, the biggest places where he was persecuted, he was going into the temple itself, and he was speaking these things, and they were kicking him out. Remember, Christ went right into the temple, and he started speaking these things against the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and he started saying, this is not the way this is supposed to be. You are hypocrites. I'm just wondering if maybe, and this is hard teachings, maybe we're supposed to be taking it into the churches, speaking the truth. I can tell you right now, I've seen several videos of guys that have gone into the big football stadiums, churches, and have spoken out. And as soon as they start talking, the security guards just come and immediately take them. You really think the big prosperity gospel preachers are going to want to get into a debate over whether or not their doctrine is real? You really think those boys are going to want to talk about the truth of the Bible? You think they're going to want to hear it? You think any church you walk into, if they're not speaking the true word of God, if they're speaking what they want their congregation to hear, they're going to want to listen to anyone that walks off the street? What's the first thing they're going to say? Well, you've never been to Bible college, so you don't know what you're talking about. Oh. You mean like Jeremiah, like the priest did to Jeremiah? Is that what you're telling me? Is that because I'm Joe Schmo off the street that I don't have enough learning and enough knowledge to be able to ask you why you say one thing and your Bible says something completely different? Well, you see, that's Old Testament. That was nailed to the cross. But everything in the New Testament tells you that everything in the Old Testament still stands. So, well, see, you can't do that. You can't talk about this stuff again. You don't have enough learning. Okay, all right. See, you really think those guys are willing to? I mean, is this why people don't go and preach in the churches anymore? Preach the truth about the churches anymore? Because the churches won't hear it? I don't know. I don't know. If it comes down to it, when it comes down to it, if the Father tells you to do something, don't be afraid, go do it. If he tells you, if you pray to him and ask him, Father, what should I do? And if he says, take my book and go read it in the church, outside the church, whatever, read the word, you go do it. But always speak the truth. Always speak the truth. Stop giving in to the lies. Stop thinking that white lies are good. White lies are not good. White lies are still lies. Always speak the truth. Okay, verse 7. It may be they will present their supplication before the Lord, and will return every one from his evil way. For great is the anger and the fury that the Lord hath pronounced against this people. It may very well be they may hear it, and they may turn away from their evil ways. It may be, hopefully. And what was the other one that Jeremiah said? Somebody had, there was the priest that came up to him. Hilkiah, was that who it was? Who came up to the people and were saying, God, the Lord sent me the word that said that, he will take these people of Babylon away from us within 3 years. And Jeremiah came up and he said, well, God, I hope so. I really do hope that this is what's going to happen. He said, that's not what God told me, but I really do hope what you're praying will happen. But that's not what God has showed us. So this is the same way. Maybe if you preach it, they will turn. Maybe. It's not they're not going to listen to us, so it's not even worth trying. No, it's maybe they will hear it, and maybe they will turn from their ways. If they don't, then it's not for them. At least we tried. It is what it is. Verse 8. And Baruch the son of Neriah did according to all that Jeremiah the prophet commanded him, reading in the book the words of the Lord in the Lord's house. And it came to pass in the 5th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, in the 9th month, that they proclaimed a fast before the Lord to all the people in Jerusalem, and to all the people that came from the cities of Judah unto Jerusalem. Then read Baruch in the book the words of Jeremiah in the house of the Lord, in the chamber of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan the scribe, in the higher court, at the entry of the new gates of the Lord's house, in the ears of all the people. So this is him actually reading the book. Went into the places where they're not going to listen, but he said he went in there anyways. He took the words and he started speaking. So verse 11, when Micaiah, is that what that is? I'm going to say Micaiah. There it is, Micaiah. When Micaiah, the son of Gemariah, God, I've said before, these words or these names are going to destroy me. Gemariah. I want to say Jamaria, but I don't think it's right. It's a G. It's a Gemariah. Man, when Micaiah, jeez, I did it again. When Micaiah, the son of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, had heard out of the book all the words of the Lord, then he went down into the king's house, into the scribe's chamber, and lo, all the princes sat there, even Elishama the scribe, and Delaiah the son of Shemaiah, and Elnathan the son of Ekbar, and Gemariah the son of Shaphan, and Zedekiah the son of Hananiah, and all the princes. Then Micaiah declared unto them all the words that he had heard, when Baruch read the book in the ears of the people. Therefore all the princes sent Jehudi, I hope I'm getting this stuff right. I'm going to say Yehudi because it's a Y, it's a J, so it's actually a Y. Yehudi, the son of Nethaniah, the son of Shelemiah, the son of Cushi. Cushi. Now that's a word we should, because that's like 3, 1, 2, 3. That's like 4 generations. When the Bible goes 4 generations, that makes you think. This is somebody that led from somewhere. Anyways, the son of Cushi unto Baruch, saying, Take in thine hand the roll wherein thou hast read in the ears of the people, and come. So Baruch the son of Neriah took the roll in his hand, and came unto them. And they said unto him, Sit down now, and read it in our ears. So Baruch read it in their ears. Now it came to pass, when they had heard all the words, they were afraid both one and another, and said unto Baruch, We will surely tell the king of all these words. And they asked Baruch, saying, Tell us now, how didst thou write all these words at his mouth? Then Baruch answered them, He pronounced all these words unto me with his mouth, and I wrote them with ink in the book. Then said the princes unto Baruch, Go, hide thee, thou and Jeremiah, and let no man know where ye be. Okay. I gotta reread all this. The names, man, the names. When Micaiah, the son of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, had heard out of the book all the words of the Lord, then he went down to the king's house, into the scribe's chamber, and lo, all the princes sat there, even Elishama the scribe, and Delaiah the son of Shemaiah, and Elnathan the son of Akbor, and Gemariah the son of Shaphan, who was this guy's father, and Zedekiah the son of Hananiah, and all the princes. And I apologize for every one of those names. And again, I know I'm not the best at this. I'm just some guy, but I'm trying. Then Micaiah declared unto them all the words that he had heard, when Baruch read the book in the ears of the people. Therefore all the princes sent Yehudi. Sorry, I got a little... There we go. Therefore all the princes sent Yehudi, the son of Nethaniah, the son of Shelemiah, the son of Cushi. I gotta look this up, because I've heard that name before. The name of 2 Israelites, an ancestor of Jehudi, the father of the prophet Zephaniah. The father of the prophet Zephaniah. Okay. Cushi means their blackness. And that's probably because I have been listening to Black Hebrew Israelites. Cushi was that was one of the names of the countries in northern Africa. Huh. Interesting stuff. But that's all it says on Cushi. It doesn't have anything else in there. It's interesting. Now we can talk about Cush, who was Cush? Let me look this up. The oldest son of Ham and a grandson of Noah, but I don't think that's the same person. Could be. Could be, but I don't think that's the same person. That's not the same person so much as the same family. I'm not saying that is the same. I'm not saying Cushi is the son of Cush, or the son of Cush, the relative of Cush. I'm just saying you hear that name, that's probably where I'm getting it from. Because he was the sons of Ham. That's not the same one. But there is a country in Africa called Cush. That's probably where I'm getting it from. I could be wrong on that, though. I could be wrong on everything, and I'm sure there's probably somebody out there that knows. Personally, I don't. I'm just saying, I saw that name, and I had to look it up, because, again, when you hear something, you should say something. How about that? So, therefore, all the princes sent Yehudi, the son of all these people, the great-grandson of Cushi, unto Baruch, saying, Take in thine hand the roll there wherein thou hast read in the ears of the people, and come. So Baruch the son of Neriah took the roll in his hand, and came unto them. And they said unto him, Sit down now, and read it in our ears. So Baruch read it in their ears. Now it came to pass, when they had heard all the words, they were afraid, both one and other, and said unto Baruch, We will surely tell the kings of all these words. So they became afraid. They heard it. Apparently they wanted to hear it. And they asked Baruch, saying, Tell us now, how didst thou write all these words at his mouth? Then Baruch answered them, He pronounced all these words unto me with his mouth, and I wrote them with ink in the book. Then said the princes unto Baruch, Go hide thee, thou and Jeremiah, and let no man know where ye be. So this is saying, go take the book, take Jeremiah, take yourself, and go hide. Because I'm sure that if somebody were to have heard these things, they would have gone out of their way to stop Jeremiah from speaking. Of course, I don't know how he's going to take him away. Was he even... Yeah, it says Jeremiah was shut up. So how was he going to be able to... I don't know. Let's keep reading. Let's keep reading and see what happens. In verse 20, And they went into the king into the courts, but they laid up the roll in the chamber of Elishama the scribe, and told all the words in the ears of the king. Wow. So the king sent Yehudi to fetch the roll, and he took it out of Elishama the scribe's chamber. And Yehudi, it's a Y. And Yehudi read it in the ears of the king, and in the ears of all the princes which stood beside the king. Now the king sat in the winter house in the 9th month, and there was a fire on the hearth burning before him. And it came to pass that when Yehudi had read 3 or 4 leaves, he cut it with the penknife, and cast it into the fire that was on the hearth, until all the roll was consumed in the fire that was on the hearth. Yet they were not afraid, nor rent their garments, neither the king nor any of his servants that heard all these words. Nevertheless, Elnathan and Delaiah and Gemariah had made intercession to the king that he would not burn the roll, but he would not hear them. But the king commanded Jeremiel, but the king commanded Jeremiel, the son of Hamelech, and Sariah, the son of Azriel, nice, and Shelemiah, the son of Abdiel, to take Baruch the scribe and Jeremiah the prophet, but the Lord hid them. So, of course, they took the scroll to the king, and the scroll says basically, hey, you're going to lose everything because you wouldn't hearken unto my words. So the king didn't like that. So he burned the words, and he said, bring me Baruch and Jeremiah. Back up to 20. Yes, we're going to read this again. And they went in to the king into the courts, but they laid up the roll in the chamber of Elishama the scribe, and told all the words in the ears of the king. Which is probably the smartest thing they could have done, is to hide the scroll. But of course, so the king sent Yehudi to fetch the roll, and he took it out of Elishama the scribe's chamber, and Yehudi read it in the ears of the king, and in the ears of all the princes which stood beside the king. So now the king sat in the winter house in the 9th month, and there was fire on the hearth burning before him. And it came to pass that when Yehudi had read 3 or 4 leaves, he cut it with the penknife, and cast it into the fire that was on the hearth, until all the roll was consumed in the fire that was on the hearth. Now, your history is written by the winners of the wars. When they come and take over a nation, they burn everything that does not have anything to do with their rule. Therefore, your history of this world is not the history of this world. It is not real as far as the past 200 years of America. It is not real as far as the past, 2,000 years of what supposedly is Roman history. It is not as far as Catholic history either. The last 1,500 plus years of Catholic history. It is not real as far as the 3,000 years of Grecian history. It is not real as far as the past 4,000 years of Egyptian history. You don't know your own history, because the winners of the wars constantly rewrite history. So every single time something has happened in this world, history has been rewritten. We have been finding that old texts, old letters, old things that are out there in the world, we can find them that tell us, how certain older books, like the Bible, are true. And we can understand that, yes, this was written way before all these things. These were books that were not burned. But everything else, you don't know. This is one thing I've talked about extensively. You don't know the true history of the United States of America. We don't know if the Founding Fathers created this world because they were trying to get away from British rule, from religious persecution, from, anything. We don't know that. I was just thinking about this morning, as a matter of fact, about how, yet again, I've said this before, that the Constitution of the United States of America may not have been written by any founding fathers whatsoever. It may have already been here. And what happened was, when the British, or whoever came, we don't even know if it was the British, but when they came over, they may not have been here either. They may have came over in the 1700s to take over. And what they did was they rewrote the history. There's a lot of people that can say, well, you see, we have letters here that British people that yada yada yada, that say that they were here since 16 whatever it was. You don't know that. They've had 200 years to be able to make up whatever history they want to make up. Some people don't believe it. Some people don't buy it, and I get it. I get it. I absolutely understand that, it's hard to be able to fake that much history. But then again, when you consider that something possibly happened in the mid-1800s, and then magically out of the blue, the entire education system as we understand it sprouted out of the early 1900s, in order to convince us of their lies, their history. When you take it into that kind of context, you can see how easy it would have been to completely rewrite the history of the world. Something happened in the 1800s. That we know of for a fact. The orphan trains, the re-education of society. Something happened. I don't care what it was. You have hundreds of thousands, possibly even millions of children with little to no education that were transported from place to place to place, thrown into schools, and re-educated into simply being good worker bees. You could have told them anything and they would have believed it. And then they would have passed that down to the next generation. And then they would have passed that down to the next generation. And what would have happened was all of the history people would have had to have done is slowly changed the records. Hidden the old records, but changed the records in the official sites to match what was being taught. The perfect example of that is the guys that went out, and it's still out there, you can look it up, it's the original 13th Amendment of the United States. They went out to a courthouse in Pennsylvania, I think it was, either Pennsylvania or Virginia, one of the two. And they found a book that was written just after the 13th Amendment had passed. When was the 13th Amendment? 13th Amendment. When did this thing... 1865. 1865. It was proclaimed on December... said effective 1863, declared it... Okay, whatever, anyways. Say 1865. Okay, 1864, 1865. They found a book that was written before that, I think, actually, because they showed the copyright, they showed everything else. They said they went to the 13th Amendment of the United States, the Constitution of the United States of America, and they said the 13th Amendment states that there will be no one from, I don't remember exactly what it said, no one from the rule of Britannia or something like that, and no one that has passed the bar, which basically means that no lawyer or judge can become an executive or a ruling person in power in the United States of America. It means that no lawyers can take a place of power in the government. That was this was a book that was printed and was sitting in a official library inside of either Pennsylvania or Virginia. I don't remember where it was, but they said this was like the third book that they found like that. And that's not the 13th Amendment of the Constitution of America. The 13th Amendment is the amendment that gave slaves the right to vote. So why is it that these things exist when they're not supposed to exist? See, you don't even know your own history. You don't even know your own history because you don't even know what day it is. I say that too. Your calendar has changed several times. You only know that it's a Monday because you have agreed that it's a Monday. Even Napoleon said history is just lies that are agreed upon. We chose to follow this history because everybody else chose to follow it. Somebody somewhere created that history and forced it onto people. I don't think people would have blindly just accepted it like this. It was forced onto people. So you have no idea how many scrolls, books, whatever it is, have been burned. Now you talk about the great Library of Alexandria just happened to have burned up just mysteriously out of the blue. Lost all those scrolls. How do you even know that stuff was lost? I mean, They could have very easily taken it and put it in a place where you can't go. The Vatican. There's so much of this, though. This is one of the things I keep trying to tell people, is that you just don't know. People come back to me all the time, well, Google says this. Google is something that's only been around for 10 years and can be easily manipulated by a human being. Wikipedia, supposedly 70% of all of Wikipedia is written by one man. Really? You want to believe that garbage? You know, any book that has been published over the past 100 years falls into that category of they are just repeating the same lies. Even doctors and scientists now only repeat the same stuff that has been in the books for the past 100 years. They don't ever go past that. They don't have to, because schools use a standard of education to where they say as long as you can pass this standard exam, you can get any form of degree that you want as long as you can pass a standard exam. Whose standards? Schools were not built for you to think freely. They were only there to create workers, give you enough information so that you can grow up to be a good worker ant and not ask questions. That's what schools do. It is not free thinking. And they only teach you the understandings of the past 100 years. It's happening now, too. Digital book burnings is what is the thing now, is they would just simply take information off of the internet and cast it away. Amazon won't list a book. Or they will list a book, but they will list it at $4,000. What was the book I was looking at the other day? I know I'm getting off on a tangent here and I'm running out of time, but I want to... What was the book? And there are several other versions of this book that are cheaper, but I just thought it was interesting. What was the book? So this is an older book, but there are different... This is a good example. Let's put it that way. So this is a book about the Tavistock Institute, written by John Coleman. This is an earlier printing. I'm not saying this book is worth this much, but this is an earlier printing of this book. They have reprinted this book, and it is far cheaper than this. But this is how this works. There are other books that are out there right now that have a lot different information in it that are, the same price. But this price on Amazon right now is $4,800. I'm not kidding. This book is $4,800. I had to laugh. Even a used copy is $291. Now again, this book was reprinted, so this book is cheaper. I think there's another version of this that's I think it's like $25. But I saw that, and the first thing I thought was, when these guys that are trying to prove that there were black people in America before the slave ships, and they talk about these books that are out there in like the Library of Congress or in wherever it is. Sorry, I hit the volume of my my headset. But when they go out to try to find these books, and they say, well, this information is in this book, but this book costs, $5,000. That's book burning. That's keeping us from being able to have any kind of information whatsoever. That means that every other copy of this book is either owned in a private collection or it's in a library somewhere where we can't find it, so that we can't find the truth. People have asked before, well, how would they be able to keep all this stuff away from us? Well, it's that simple. They just hide the book away so that you never see it, so that you'll never hear the truth that they want. We're drowning in lies. But it's the same thing as this. The king didn't want to hear the words, so he threw the book in the fire. Because if you speak out against the powers that be, the people that are simply there trying to hold on to their power as much as possible, when they hear something they don't want to hear, they will do everything possible to take away your voice. Jeremiah would have been considered a conspiracy theorist. He was saying God is going to come and take all this away, and nobody listened. He was shut down, deplatformed, demonetized, whatever you want to say, thrown into jail eventually. Everything he ever wrote, everything he ever said was burned. And they mocked him, scoffed at him, lied about him, simply because he was trying to tell the truth. If you're not ready for that, if you're not ready to be mocked, scoffed, and laughed at and deplatformed, you're not reading, you're not doing the full work of God. You cannot be afraid to speak the truth in this world that doesn't want to hear it. Anyways, he took it and he threw it on the fire. Verse 24. I know, we got to keep going. Yet they were not afraid, nor rent their garments, neither the king nor any of the servants that heard all these words. They didn't care. They were not afraid. Nevertheless, Elnathan and Deliah and Gemariah had made intercession to the king that he would not burn the roll, but he would not hear them. They asked him. They said, don't burn the roll when you hear it. He said he didn't care. He just threw it on the fire anyways. But the king commanded Jeremiel, the son of Hemelech, and Sariah, the son of Azriel, and Shelemiah, the son of Abdeel, to take Baruch the scribe and Jeremiah the prophets. But the Lord hid them. The Father will hide you. If it's your turn to be hunted, the Lord will provide you a place to go. That's why it is said many times is when that time comes for the Father to take you and put you somewhere, he will hide you away. Verse 27. Then the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. After that, the king had burned the roll, and the words which Baruch wrote at the mouth of Jeremiah, saying, Take thee again another roll, and write it in all the former words that were in the first roll, which Jehoiakim the king had burned. And thou shalt say to Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Thus saith the Lord, Thou hast burned this roll, saying, Why hast thou written therein, saying, The king of Babylon shall certainly come and destroy this land, and shall cause to cease from thence man and beast. Therefore thus saith the Lord of Jehoiakim king of Judah, He shall have none to sit upon the throne of David, and his dead body shall be cast out in the day to the heat, and in the night to the frost. And I will punish him and his seed and his servants for their iniquity, and I will bring upon them and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem and upon the men of Judah all the evil that I have pronounced against them, but they hearken not. So back up to 27. Then the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah. After that the king had burned the roll, and the words which Baruch wrote at the mouth of Jeremiah, saying, Take thee again another roll, and write in it all the former things that were in the first roll, which Jehoiakim the king of Judah hath burned. We'll go write it again. They didn't want to hear it the first time. Screw them. Write it again. And thou shalt say to Jehoiakim king of Judah, Thus saith the Lord, Thou hast burned this roll, saying, Why hast thou written therein, saying, The king of Babylon shall certainly come and destroy this land, and shall cause to cease from thence man and beast? Therefore thus saith the Lord of Jehoiakim king of Judah, not just the Lord of you, the Lord of Jehoiakim king of Judah, He shall have none to sit upon the throne of David, and his dead body shall be cast out in the day to the heat, and in the night to the frost. And I will punish him, and his seed, and his servants, for their iniquity. And I will bring upon them, and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and upon the men of Judah, all the evil that I have pronounced against them. But they hearken not. So once again, he went back, and well, no. I'm getting that backwards. Hold on. God was saying, go back and tell them, because you will not listen to me. I am going to send all of these. I will punish you, your seed, your servants, everyone, because you would not listen to me. I was thinking 2 steps ahead. I'm sorry. I heard the but they hearken not, but I was thinking, well, that was something that would have happened the second time, but no, it's not. He was still talking about the first time. I know, it's getting to the point. It's almost time that I have to go to work, and I'm actually hungry. We didn't eat that much last night, so I'm hungry, and my brain's kind of doing that thing where it's, you could definitely tell that I need to have some food to get myself back on track. So verse 32. Then took Jeremiah another roll, and gave it to Baruch the scribe, the son of Neriah, who wrote therein from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the book which Jehoiakim, king of Judah, had burned in the fire. And there were added besides unto them many like words. So that last one again, just one verse, verse 32. Then took Jeremiah another roll, and gave it to Baruch the scribe, the son of Neriah, who wrote therein from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the book which Jehoiakim, king of Judah, had burned in the fire. And there were added besides unto them many like words. So actually they added more to what was said the second time than they did the first time. Now, of course, we're going to have to wait and see what happens to that scroll, if we even get to see what happens to that scroll. After the fact, I don't even know if we do. They might say it, they might not. How many chapters are in Jeremiah anyways? 52. So we're pretty close. Okay. So that's been the way this world has been for years. It's like I said before, is that it's the people in charge that write the books. It's the people in charge that write your history. You don't know what your history is. You don't even know. I listen to guys that talk about ancient megalithic structures. They'll talk about the pyramids, and they'll talk about statues, and they'll talk about Stonehenge. And there's a couple of the more independent guys, that will go out of their way to talk about Stonehenge as if it were a real thing. Oh, there's Stonehenge, so great, such a great and magical, wonderful place that the Druids used to come in, and there's some kind of energy there, some kind of presence, and it's been there for years and years, and we don't know how it was built. We know exactly how it was built. They came in the 1930s and the 1940s, and they rebuilt the damn thing. Some places indicate that they moved it 30 miles to the east and rebuilt it. You don't even know your own history. I mean, it's not like it's, it's not like we're just making this stuff up. And, oh, well, that was just a lie. That, these things were built such and such a time and such a place. And oh, no, that's just a lie. You don't know what that is. No, we're telling you the truth. These things Stonehenge was rebuilt and moved. They rebuilt a lot of the things in Egypt. You don't know if those were real or not. Just because somebody says that they found an ancient city or an ancient place, even the churches. There's Anwar's been talking about the churches. He's the guy, or Awar. What is it? Aewar? Awar? I don't remember. I don't know how to pronounce it. The guy that did, which I have a problem with now. He did the trees on flat Earth, but then he also did the churches and the star forts being power conductors. But then he completely flipped over on that one, and he said, I don't think it's like that. I think it might be something else going on. And him and some other guy now they're using Wikipedia. And I'm not going to say that, everything they do is wrong or right. I just think that there has to be a better source than Wikipedia. I don't know, but I know that, one thing that he believed in, he kind of changed. And, maybe you found some more stuff that, contradicts what you were saying before. That's fine. But, man, give us a better source than just Wikipedia. Holy smokes. But anyways, he was talking about, I lost it now. No, he was talking about churches. He was saying, half of the styles of certain churches are done, the style that they were made in is different than the style that is on the other side of the church. It's separated by like 500, 600 years. Now that I can believe, because you can see that. You can see the different styles between the two sides of these churches. And you can see the old brick versus the new brick, where they came in and they rebuilt these things. See, you don't even know, because they will come in and they will just rebuild everything the way that they want to rebuild it. Even the Parthenon, the Greek structures, when they dig these things out, and then they start putting the pieces back together. I don't want to say they don't know how to put the pieces back together, but when they put the pieces back together, they're rebuilding. They're not leaving it the way it was. They're changing it in some way, shape, or form. So that's rebuilding. That's changing the history of the thing that they're touching. So your history has changed. If they wanted to really understand the history, they would have dug it out and they would have left it there. All the rocks scattered across the ground and everything. But no, they decided to dig it out, and then they decided to mess with it. Stonehenge was messed with. They reset some of Stonehenge. Yes, they left some of the big rocks and stuff on the side of the ground to make it look like it had been there forever. And then they tell you it had been there forever, but it's like, no, they moved it. You don't know your own history. Your calendar was changed in the 1600s. Your calendar was changed. You don't even know what day it is. We don't know anything. We don't know what year it is. We don't know what day it is. We don't know who was in charge. People seem to think that they have some grasp of reality. It's like, you don't have any grasp of reality. You know what they tell you to know. You exist in their world. And they have told you every lie possible. And they have put conflict after conflict in front of you. They have separated us and divided us into arguing and constantly fighting each other over the most trivial things. They use every trick in the book to program us, and they've had decades of work experience on this. They have been looking into mind manipulation and control since the 1930s. They're pretty well versed in how to do this now. The patents have been out there for mind manipulation abilities just simply inside of a television screen since the 50s, the 60s? Mind manipulation. And you think you know everything. We're being played. We've been played since the day we were born. There is no fault. That's not your fault. There's no fault that's on you. It's okay to admit it. We're all there. It's the first thing I have always tried to tell everybody is you don't know your own history. So open your mind to the possibility that everything is a lie. Start with a blank slate. Start with a blank slate and really listen to what they say. And then go out and find the places where people are finding the old books. People are finding the old truth. And try to put the puzzle pieces together. Because I'll tell you what, when you start putting those puzzle pieces together in the alternative way against everything that you've been taught, it makes so much more sense. It hurts and it sucks. I don't want to live in this world where I am being lied to about everything, but I live here now. But I see it. I've 46 years of my life. It's been like this. My whole life. And that hurts. What hurts even worse is that I have a 4-year-old granddaughter. He's less than a year-old grandson. That they both are going to have to grow up in this world. And they're going to be taught lies just like we were. They're going to be taught worse lies. Because the school system teaches a completely and fundamentally different worldview than they did 40 years ago. They're not going to get the education I got. They're going to get something where it's about your feelings. They're not going to get truth. It's going to be about what do you think is real. It's going to be about the self more than it's going to be about the truth. And they're going to grow up in this completely consumer-driven society where they can be and do and say anything they want to. Do as thou wilt. It's completely and totally satanic garbage. And they're not going to know any better. And that's going to create a conflict. I am preparing myself for that. I'm doing my best to raise her as much as possible, but I'll be honest, I'm fighting her mom. I know it's going to come down to the point she's already done it once, is where I've said something that she didn't like me to tell her kid, and she already took her away from me. And, I don't have any dog in that fight because I'm not blood related to this kid. But, this is an absolute spiritual battle based upon lies that we have to fight face to face. We have to stand up and stand firm against it with the full armor of God, with the full power of the Lord behind us. You cannot be afraid to fight this war. So please, if you hear this, read the truth, Know the truth. Understand the truth. Speak the truth. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. That's all I've got. I have got to go get ready for work. I definitely gotta get some food in my system because I'm feeling it. I shall talk to y'all later. God bless every one of you. Take care of yourselves. I will see you tomorrow. Yeah, that's all I got. We cannot be afraid to speak up anymore. This world is so fallen. If you can't even know what day, here's one for you. If you don't even know what year, what month, what day it is, you barely even know what the hours of the day are. They divided your clock up into 666. You don't even know how to count time anymore. The way that they used to. The way that our ancestors used to. We don't even know. That's all I've got to say about it. We don't even know. We don't even know the right way. They used to be enlightened. The people that used to live in this world there used to be some kind of enlightenment. I know it says that they had evil continuously. Okay, they had evil continuously, but damn it, they knew things that we could not even remotely understand. Not even remotely, possibly understand. Now remember, that was not alien. That was angelic technology. That's what people are calling them. This is angelic technology. That means it was from God, but they twisted it, manipulated it, just like everything else. That means that these are the things that we are going to be using when we go to heaven with the Father. There's nothing wrong with it. It is just how man twists it and manipulates and uses it. That is the problem. So when we talk about those that were enlightened before us, that's what we mean. That's definitely what I mean. Is that they had knowledge and understanding way more than we do. They probably had knowledge and understanding of the Father way more than we do. And the things of this world. But we have lost that. Because we have been manipulated and lied to. So you don't even know. You have no clue where you are right now. What's going on. Anyways, like I said, I gotta go. I love you all. Take care of yourselves. God bless. Talk to you later.